be, maybe.
For decades, people have searched for Bigfoot, but few have dared to venture into truly uncharted territory. Today, we're diving deep into the most remote locations, following the evidence and uncovering chilling discoveries along the way. From massive footprints to unexplained noises in the dead of night, this is the search for Sasquatch like you've never seen before.
They're all around us.
In the early hours of the morning, deep in the forests of Burlington, Ontario, an explorer from Turtle Island, Sasquatch, set off on a hike along an unfamiliar trail. The air was crisp, the forest still waking up, when something unusual caught his eye.
Came around a corner on a new trail, and I found this beauty. Probably 40 feet tall.
Towering in the middle of the woods stood an enormous teepee-like structure, unlike anything he had ever encountered. Standing at an estimated 40 feet tall, possibly even reaching 50 feet, this formation was massive.
From left to right at the base, you're looking at, I don't know, 20 feet. And the opening there at the door is probably 8 feet tall.
At its base, it stretched roughly 20 to 25 feet, with an entrance standing about 8 feet high. The sheer size alone made it an extraordinary find. Determined to get a precise measurement of the structure's height, the explorer reached for his tape measure. However, it quickly became clear that using a standard tool would be nearly impossible.
As soon as I start trying to stick the tape measure up that high, it's gonna be flimsy and fall.
As soon as he tried to extend it upwards, it became flimsy, bending under its own weight before reaching anywhere near the top. Thinking quickly, he devised a different approach. He searched the ground for a long, sturdy branch, one that could stand upright and give him a better visual comparison. Finding one that seemed tall enough, he carefully propped it up against the structure, using it as a reference point. Once the branch was stable, he laid it flat on the ground and measured its length. Even this method had its challenges, positioning the branch correctly without it slipping, making sure it stood as straight as possible. But in the end, it provided the best estimate. His calculations confirmed what he had suspected all along. The structure was significantly larger than it appeared on camera. The sheer scale was something that couldn't be fully captured through a lens. Beyond the structure's size, there were other details that made this discovery even more fascinating. He examined the individual logs and branches making up the formation. Many of them appeared to have been deliberately arranged, leaning uniformly against the central support. Some of the pieces were far too large for a single person to lift easily, raising even more questions about how they got there. One particular tree trunk stood out. It ran straight up the middle of the teepee and was still alive. Unlike the rest of the structure, this tree had healthy green foliage at the top, showing no signs of decay. The realization was striking. This wasn't just a pile of fallen debris. Something, or someone, had built this structure around a living tree. What exactly was this? A survival shelter? A naturally fallen pile of trees? Or something else entirely? The structure's size, design, and construction left more questions than answers. It didn't resemble any known human-made shelter in the area, and the arrangement of materials seemed too deliberate to be purely natural. Whether a product of nature or something more mysterious, it was a discovery worth documenting. As Turtle Island Sasquatch continues to explore the wilderness, finds like these keep the search for answers alive. What else is hidden deep in the forests, waiting to be uncovered? Deep in the remote forests of southern Ontario, a researcher returned to a familiar site known as the Seven Structures area, a location where strange and deliberate arrangements of wood and stone have been discovered over the years. Having visited this place many times before, he was surprised to find that things had changed. Some of the large rocks that were originally part of the structure had been moved, shifted in ways that defied explanation.
From over the past year, that has been moved. Not just slipped out the side a little bit, moved down and over.
One particular rock stood out. It had not merely slipped from its original position or rolled slightly downhill. It had been deliberately moved down and over from where it had been before.
I just don't understand. Like, well, I mean, I do, but a human would not do that.
Given its size and weight, such a feat would require immense strength. The researcher contemplated the possibility who or what could have done this. He was certain that no human had moved the rock. Its previous placement already seemed unnatural, and now it was being used to help support some of the massive branches in the structure.
Just something I didn't notice yesterday that I just did now is there's a beautiful branch that's sitting on top of a small broken branch right here on this hemlock.
As he scanned the area, he noticed something he hadn't the day before, a perfectly positioned branch, newly incorporated into the formation. The realization struck him. Changes were happening in real time, and he was witnessing clear evidence of something or someone interacting with this site.
This long tree trunk with the roots still on the end, that hasn't always been here. That's been brought in. And when I first found the original structure here that was then knocked down and then rebuilt,
the deeper he explored, the more anomalies he uncovered. A long tree trunk with its roots still intact had appeared in the area, yet he was certain it had not been there in previous visits. This wasn't the only shift. When he first discovered the structure months ago, it had been knocked down and later rebuilt.
I can show you some pictures. There was a really beautiful, a really pretty, nice big round rock on the ground here.
Comparing his past photographs, he recalled that a large, rounded rock had once rested on the forest floor in this exact spot, but now it was gone. Searching the area, he couldn't find another rock that matched its description, though several other stones had been repositioned in seemingly deliberate ways. One rock in particular stood out. It had been placed recently, sitting atop the ground with no sign of natural disturbance. Unlike ordinary scattered stones, this one appeared intentionally set, raising even more questions.
Oh, here, I wanted to show you inside one more time, just to show you the just the beauty of what this looks like.
As he examined the towering construction in greater detail, he was struck by its sheer scale. The structure reached an impressive height, far taller than any person could reach unaided.
Here's the floor, it's just beautiful. Just a clear backbone.
On the inside, the ground was clear, offering a near-perfect view of what he called the backbone of the formation. It was there that another baffling discovery awaited.
A mix of all those pieces of wood. I mean, there's the end right there. You can see it's like a little roots there. That's just sitting on against these other pieces of wood.
At the highest point, a large piece of wood rested on top of the others, positioned in a way that seemed to defy logic.
There's not even a main, like a support, like a V, like a Y, underneath this main backbone. Now how that's staying up is incredible. It's just sitting right there.
Unlike a typical support beam, it had no visible brace, no Y or V-shaped support beneath it to hold it up. Instead, it simply rested atop the formation, perfectly balanced in a way that seemed almost impossible. The researcher stood in awe, questioning how such a massive log had been placed so precisely without collapsing the entire structure. Each visit to the 7 structures area revealed new changes, rocks shifting, tree trunks appearing, and structures being rebuilt. These were not minor adjustments made by the wind or the passage of time. They were deliberate, methodical, and unexplainable through conventional means. What force was responsible for these ongoing changes? Could it be the work of wildlife, or was something else at play? The researcher continued to document each discovery, determined to unravel the mystery unfolding in this isolated stretch of wilderness. One thing was certain: something was watching, something was building, and the forest was keeping its secrets, at least for now.
Hey fam, ready for nightmares? Check out Knock Knock for the scariest, most bone-chilling encounters caught on camera. Link in the description. If you dare.
In the dense, silent forests of Arizona, researchers Mitchell Waite and Susan Farnsworth embarked on yet another expedition in their ongoing quest to uncover evidence of Bigfoot. On this particular day, they recorded footage that would later become the subject of intense analysis.
I wanted to show just how close I got to this Bigfoot.
Footage that might just capture a close encounter with the elusive creature. As the team moved cautiously through the wilderness, something unusual caught their attention. The forest, typically alive with the sounds of birds chirping, insects buzzing, and rustling leaves, was unnervingly silent. There was no movement, no distant animal calls, only the sound of their own footsteps crunching through the dry grass. This sudden lack of sound is a phenomenon often reported in alleged Bigfoot encounters. Some researchers speculate that the presence of such a large, intelligent being may cause wildlife to retreat, leading to an eerie silence. Others believe it could be a form of infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that can create feelings of unease or disorientation in humans. Regardless of the cause, the unsettling quiet put the team on high alert. Then, something caught Triton's eye. A dark figure was partially obscured among the trees. Initially, he dismissed it as a simple tree stump, but its positioning and shape seemed oddly deliberate. He decided to zoom in to get a better look.
One thing this allows us to do is, through the freeze frames, you can tell that the head moves slightly.
At first, the supposed tree stump remained motionless. However, as Triton zoomed in further, something unexpected happened. The head moved. It was a subtle shift, barely noticeable at first, but undeniable when analyzed frame by frame. This was a crucial moment in the investigation. If this were a mere tree stump, it would remain entirely static. But the freeze frame analysis confirmed that the figure exhibited slight movements. Its ability to remain still for long periods, blending into the natural environment, showcased the stealth and patience often attributed to Bigfoot. Many who claim to have encountered these creatures describe them as masters of camouflage. Their fur, posture, and ability to stay motionless allow them to blend seamlessly with tree trunks, fallen logs, and shadows. This discovery reinforced that theory, making it clear why so many sightings end in uncertainty. These beings are experts at evading detection.
But by adding color, you can see it a little bit better. So it's not brown, it's gray.
To gain more clarity, the research team decided to apply color enhancements to the footage. Initially, the figure appeared dark brown, blending in with the surrounding environment. However, after adjustments, a surprising detail emerged. The figure wasn't brown at all. It was gray. The texture of its hair was also notable. Instead of appearing coarse like that of a bear or other wild animals, it had a softer, more uniform look. This detail added another layer of mystery. Could this be a variation of Bigfoot with a different fur color, or was it an older individual whose hair had grayed with age? The research team wasn't alone in their investigation. Online, virtual researchers meticulously analyzed each frame, looking for additional evidence. While not every frame provided a clear image, the dedication of these digital investigators was invaluable. Their efforts helped refine the analysis and shed more light on what had been captured on camera. The footage from April 11, 2015 remains a compelling piece of evidence in the study of Bigfoot. From the eerie silence of the forest to the subtle movement of an assumed tree stump, every detail adds to the intrigue. Whether or not this video serves as definitive proof, one thing is clear. Something out there is watching, moving, and expertly avoiding detection. For the researchers at Bigfoot Research, this was yet another step in their relentless pursuit of the truth. The search continues, and with each new piece of evidence, they edge closer to understanding one of the greatest wilderness mysteries of all time. Deep within the forests of western New York, a dedicated brother and sister research team continues their search for evidence of Sasquatch and other cryptids. Their investigations take them through remote nature preserves, Native American reservations, and the dense woodlands of the Allegheny Mountains. Over the years, they have gathered an extensive collection of potential evidence, including mysterious vocalizations, inexplicable knocks, and strange, humanoid-like sounds echoing through the trees.
There he is.
Each new journey into the wilderness adds another piece to the puzzle, fueling their determination to uncover the truth about what lurks in the shadows. As they approach the edge of a cliff, heavy footsteps or possibly a rock being tossed through the brush disrupted the eerie silence.
No bugs. No birds.
Moments later, what seemed to be a series of mouth pops or quiet rock knocks resonated from just beyond their line of sight. The team estimated that whatever was producing these sounds was only 15 to 20 feet below them, obscured by the thick foliage of the forest. Their adrenaline spiked as they strained to see movement, but the dense undergrowth provided perfect concealment for anything or anyone lurking nearby.
See that skinny tree in the middle of the two?
Yeah.
Behind them.
Alright.
As the expedition progressed, the atmosphere became even more intense. Loud knocks suddenly erupted from different directions, with rock taps echoing all around. Among these strange noises, an odd sound resembling laughter could be heard, an unsettling discovery that only deepened the mystery. The laughter was neither fully human nor entirely animal. Making it one of the most unnerving sounds they had encountered. The forest, once peaceful, had become a symphony of the unknown. Reviewing footage from a previous investigation, the team noticed an unsettling discovery. One figure was seen moving in an S motion between the trees, while another had been much closer than expected. This revelation confirmed their suspicion that something had been observing them at an unnervingly close distance. What they initially thought was a shadow or a trick of the light had, upon closer inspection,
Okay. Right there.
Could be, maybe.
taken on a humanoid shape. The realization that they were possibly within arm's reach of an unknown entity was both thrilling and terrifying. Every snap of a twig, every whisper of the wind now carried an added weight. Their research had led them deeper into the unknown, and with every expedition, the boundary between myth and reality seemed to blur further. The Western NY Sasquatch research team continues to push forward in their mission, gathering more evidence and piecing together the puzzle of what truly inhabits the dense forests of Western New York.
I guess I can start knocking again when we go back there.
With each new encounter, the mystery deepens, leaving them with more questions than answers. What will they uncover next? Only time and further exploration will tell. Sasquatch Omega, a channel dedicated to investigating Sasquatch activity across various regions of the United States, continues to document compelling evidence of these elusive beings. Their work includes capturing video and photographic proof of strange occurrences deep in the wilderness. Having personally encountered Sasquatch multiple times, the channel's creator has seen countless tracks, structures, and signs of their presence.
I totally agree with you. Yes, there is a deep ravine. Yeah, I mean, you're totally right.
Further fueling the belief that these creatures are not only real, but highly aware of their surroundings and human activity.
I didn't know you were recording. Sorry about that.
What's that?
I didn't know you were recording.
That's okay. This is a little game trail.
Further into the dense forest, something enormous begins moving through the undergrowth. Bushes rustle and snap under the weight of a massive figure, but visibility is limited.
Something massive. Something huge moving right there. I heard it going through bushes right there.
The team listens intently as the sound of movement continues, and soon they spot tracks leading away from the disturbance. The prints are large, too large for any ordinary animal known to inhabit the area.
In this tree because there's a freaking huge pit.
Look at these right here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
It's clear they are not alone. Another series of footprints appears, spaced closely together. This suggests that the creature was moving carefully, taking shorter steps rather than striding freely.
Heel coming back. You can see the heel here. Can you see it?
Yep.
Look at these toes, man. Look. You have toes.
The researchers hypothesize that the Sasquatch may have been moving through the trees in a way that allows them to stay hidden while observing from a safe distance.
Look at that print. Caught my eye.
Wow.
And look what he walked through.
Yeah.
Look what he freaking walked through.
Those pads have got to be.
Every new discovery adds another layer to the mystery of how these elusive beings navigate their surroundings.
Did you hear that?
Yep. It's moving. It's moving.
Oh, shit.
All right, let's back up. Okay, we're sorry.
Okay, back up.
As the investigation reaches its peak, the team's nerves begin to fray. The weight of the experience settles in. This is not like the legends or exaggerated tales they've heard before.
Hey, you want to see something crazy? Power lines.
It is something far more real and far more unnerving. The creatures seem to fall back, retreating just out of sight.
Look at that. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear anything.
Whoop.
Was it?
Yeah.
Never engaging directly, but always remaining just close enough to be felt. The boundary between observer and observed becomes blurred, and for the team, one undeniable truth emerges.
So,
How heavy do these things have to be to make those?
look at this. Look at this one. Right here.
Sasquatch are watching, waiting, and deciding exactly how much they want to reveal.
It's like a double wink.
Hey, see it? You guys just make sure you don't lose my bag.
Sasquatch Omega continues their research, diving deeper into the mystery of these elusive beings. With every new encounter, the evidence mounts, painting a picture of an intelligent, highly aware creature that walks the hidden paths of the wilderness. But just how much do they know? And how closely are they watching? The search for answers is far from over. Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, a YouTube channel dedicated to uncovering the mysteries of Sasquatch, follows the investigations of Jonathan Rafferty, a 50-year-old father, experienced drywall contractor, and avid outdoorsman. His journey into the world of Sasquatch research has taken him deep into the Adirondack Park.
All right, I'm on my way out of research area 2, and this is an area where I've showed everybody a ton of pictures,
where he has encountered strange and compelling evidence of these elusive beings.
and it ends over here. Not be a bear.
November 26, 2021 marked a particularly eventful night. A powerful storm had swept through the northeastern region of New York State, covering the dense forests in a mix of rain, sleet, and snow. Rafferty had ventured into the wilderness with the initial intention of setting up a hunting camp for his family. However, the conditions were far too wet to proceed, leading him to spend the night scouting the area instead. His primary goal was to retrieve SD cards from his trail cameras, hoping to analyze recent activity along the game runways.
I am right in the area where this happened. And I think you'll probably be able to hear that. Look at the size of that pine tree.
Moving forward, his keen eye caught fresh twigs scattered across the forest floor. Looking up, he searched for the source of the debris. Had the branches fallen naturally, or had they been disturbed by something moving above?
Yeah, you can see the fresh twigs on the ground where it has fallen. Where did this fall from?
His cameras captured every detail, including a dead spruce that had seemingly been driven into the ground.
That drove into the ground. This is another dead spruce.
The possibility of finding tracks kept him focused, scanning for further evidence of an unseen presence.
I am so sorry if this phone goes dead. But it might go. Ooh. Okay, something.
As he peered deeper into the darkness, something caught his eye. A grayish figure moving to the right. His instincts told him that whatever he was seeing was significant. But if it was a Sasquatch, was it wise to shine his flashlight directly at it?
If that's a Sasquatch, I shouldn't be like getting nervous and shining my flashlight in its face, right? Okay.
Hesitation crept in. He knew he needed to document everything, but he also understood the risks of startling whatever was out there.
My eyes could be playing tricks on me. I did hear something take off down on the other peninsula.
With the night drawing to a close, Rafferty reflected on the eventful evening. He wished his audience luck for the upcoming hunt and eagerly anticipated reviewing the footage captured on his trail cameras.
I think that it snapped off out of the top of that dead spruce, came down through all the branches. That's why it sounded like it took some time and it broke a couple times.
Signing off as the Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, he waved his magic wand in a lighthearted farewell, reminding viewers that even amidst the mysteries of the forest, a sense of humor is essential. Jonathan Rafferty's investigations continue to shed light on the unknown.
Wish us luck tomorrow. I'm hoping for the old bullwinkle. Can't wait to get home and see what's been on that runway. It's the Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, waving my magic wand.
Bridging the gap between skepticism and belief. As the evidence mounts, one question remains. Just how close are these creatures to human civilization, and how much are they willing to reveal? The search for answers presses on. Desert Sasquatch is a dedicated channel that delves deep into the mysteries of Bigfoot, documenting everything from eerie screams and strange chatter to massive tracks and peculiar structures in the wilderness.
All right. I'm headed back into an area I've been many times.
The search continues, uncovering potential signs of Sasquatch activity, from being watched in the shadows to discovering their suspected shelters, whether they be deep caves or abandoned mines. Along the journey, there have been unsettling encounters, large footprints in the dirt and snow, inexplicable smells lingering in the air.
Look, that tree was alive when it snapped off up there. It's about 10 feet tall.
And the ever-present feeling of being observed. The footage collected is extensive, with even more awaiting upload. A snapped tree stood as a silent witness to something powerful.
Look at that in that tree. Holy crap, this was some kind of a totem or some kind of a...
It had once been alive, but now it stood jaggedly broken, towering at 10 feet in height. This wasn't just an ordinary fallen tree. Its sheer size and the unnatural break suggested immense force.
It's about 10 feet tall. Wow, that's just weird.
The trail leading away from it was wide and well-worn, adding another puzzle piece to the ongoing investigation. To capture more evidence, setting up a trail camera in this location became a top priority.
I'm going to set up my trail cams on a couple of these well-used trails to see what's going on.
On a seemingly unrelated journey, an investigator recounted an unusual and humorous experience during a flight. After assisting his wife with travel arrangements, he found himself seated next to an individual unlike any he had ever encountered.
And lo and behold, Sasquatch comes and sits down next to me. Guy's about 7 foot tall, 450 pounds.
An enormous figure, standing nearly 7 feet tall and weighing around 450 pounds. With thick, coarse hair covering his arms, the resemblance to the legendary Sasquatch was uncanny.
Much hair on his arms as he did on his legs, and he wore shorts and a tank top. So I was dealing with a lot of fur.
It was a bizarre coincidence, but it added to the intrigue of the entire Sasquatch phenomenon.
This is what happened to me on my way back from Poland. I was over there trying to help my wife get her visa. It's the only place she can get it because...
In the wilderness, the presence of wildlife can often be an indicator of something larger lurking nearby. The area was rich with elk tracks, scattered in every direction. While deer were also present, their numbers were nowhere near as high as the elk.
A lot of deer and elk. And other predators, I'm sure. Looking for them.
The seasonal hunting patterns kept the elk away from certain areas, but their tracks told a different story. Something else had been following their movements, perhaps using them as a food source. The cycle of predator and prey raised even more questions.
There's deer in here too, but not as many as there is elk.
Venturing into higher elevations, the investigators scoured the landscape for any trace of Bigfoot. Typically, Sasquatch sightings and signs were found much farther up, away from the usual paths of hikers and hunters. Yet, recent activity suggested that something had ventured lower, closer to human habitation.
I go search for sign of Bigfoot. That's way up higher. but they're not. They've been down in here, that's for sure.
The unsettling realization came when evidence surfaced that someone, or something, had been inside the investigators' cabin. With a wealth of footage yet to be shared, the search for the truth was far from over.
Anyway, I was telling you, I came driving out on the road from my cabin to drive to get further up here.
As the Desert Sasquatch channel continues to explore the unknown, the question remains, is Bigfoot truly out there, watching from the shadows? With each new piece of evidence, the answer edges closer to reality, leaving the world waiting for undeniable proof. Oregon Sasquatch Encounter is a platform dedicated to exploring and understanding the mysterious existence of Sasquatch. According to its creator, this idea was given directly by the Sasquatch themselves, inspiring a mission to help people develop a deeper, more spiritual connection with these elusive beings. Through years of experience, the goal remains to assist individuals at any level of understanding, guiding them toward a peaceful and meaningful relationship with the Sasquatch. As he steadies the camera, the dark figure becomes more apparent, standing near a massive tree. Unlike the natural shadows cast by the dense foliage, this figure maintains a distinct shape, its deep black silhouette contrasting sharply against the muted tones of the forest. This, he believes, is not a trick of the light or an illusion created by the shifting landscape. To him, this is a Sasquatch, a being known to expertly camouflage itself within the wilderness. He points out what he refers to as a shadow cloak, an unusual visual effect that seemingly allows the creature to blend seamlessly into its surroundings, making it nearly imperceptible to the untrained eye. Determined to capture more details, he zooms in on the figure, focusing carefully to bring its features into clarity. As the camera sharpens, the distinct contours of its form emerge. The head, broad shoulders, and hunched posture suggest a large, powerful entity. It appears to be sitting, perhaps observing its surroundings with the same level of curiosity as the observer himself. The contrast between its darkened form and the sunlit background further emphasizes its presence. The observer notes that Sasquatch are often described as blending effortlessly with their surroundings, making this sighting all the more remarkable. Zooming in further, he captures the finer details of the creature's structure. The way it sits, its shoulders slightly hunched forward, the barely perceptible movement, it all aligns with past reports of Sasquatch behavior. The observer emphasizes that this is not a mere shadow, nor an illusion cast by fallen branches and shifting light. The creature is real, present, and seemingly aware of his presence. He watches closely, noting every subtle change in its posture, every slight shift in its form. Jonathan and Sarah Brown, residents of an Indian reservation in Washington state, have spent years documenting compelling evidence of Sasquatch activity. Their property has become a focal point for some of the most remarkable discoveries, including what many consider to be the best thermal footage of the elusive creature ever recorded. Beyond their own experiences, they explore local encounters, tribal folklore, and historical accounts, preserving the stories and traditions surrounding this legendary being. Those familiar with the popular podcast Sasquatch Chronicles may have heard references to the Brown property, a place widely recognized in the Bigfoot research community. In the heart of Wenatchee, Washington, researcher John Andrews has dedicated over 6 decades to unraveling the mystery of Sasquatch. A respected figure in the community, John has gathered an extensive collection of evidence, massive footprints, eerie audio recordings, and intricate artistic depictions of the creature. His first-hand encounters and in-depth research provide valuable insights into one of the most enduring enigmas of the natural world. Roughly a year ago, John and his research partner Paul explored a remote valley infamous for its unsettling atmosphere. Even those unfamiliar with the area often report an overwhelming sense of unease. During their expedition, John set up an audio recorder, hoping to capture unusual sounds. Hours later, a loud impact echoed through the darkness. A Upon inspection, they found that something had forcefully twisted the side mirror of a nearby Jeep, leaving behind large, distinct handprints. The sheer size of the impressions ruled out any conventional explanation, reinforcing the belief that Sasquatch had been near. Among John's vast collection of evidence, his artwork offers a striking visual representation of Sasquatch. Using eyewitness accounts as references, he creates highly detailed illustrations that capture the creature's immense size and imposing presence. One of his most notable projects is a life-size cardboard cutout, towering at 9 feet tall, a height commonly reported by witnesses. Additionally, John has documented peculiar forest anomalies, such as twisted and woven branches, believed by some to be markers left behind by Sasquatch. On April 19, 2003, John and his research partners Nancy Smith and Richard Grover recorded a series of chilling vocalizations deep in the wilderness. In the stillness of the night, they heard 4 powerful calls, followed by 2 deep, guttural groans. The team managed to capture 3 of these sounds on tape. The significance of this event wasn't just in the recordings themselves, but in the sheer power and presence of what they experienced. It was a moment that reaffirmed John's conviction. Sasquatch was not merely folklore, but an elusive creature that continued to evade mainstream discussion. John Andrews' lifelong dedication has resulted in a wealth of compelling evidence, offering glimpses into a world that remains hidden from most. Through his recordings, artwork, and personal encounters, he continues to contribute to the growing body of research surrounding Sasquatch. As his search goes on, the legend only deepens, drawing in those who seek answers to one of the greatest mysteries of the wild. Deep in the forests of southern Ontario, strange structures, unexplainable footprints, and eerie encounters hint at something living in these remote areas, unseen by most but leaving behind undeniable traces. Among the few dedicated to uncovering the truth is Leanne, the researcher behind Southern Ontario Sasquatch, a platform where she shares her years of fieldwork and discoveries. Her journey into this world of mystery began over 8 years ago with a life-changing encounter. While out berry picking alone, she came face to face with something she could not rationalize. An encounter so profound that it altered her perception of the natural world forever. From that moment on, she dedicated her time to investigating, documenting, and sharing what she found. The search was no longer just about curiosity, it had become a mission to bring attention to a phenomenon that few truly understand. She carefully moved around the prints, avoiding the delicate impressions so as not to disturb them. The river's water had begun to erode some of them, but a few remained clear enough to study. Unlike the nearby animal tracks, these prints bore a humanoid shape, broad, flat, with noticeable toe impressions. The depth of the imprints suggested something heavy had passed through, walking upright. Unfortunately, she hadn't brought any casting material with her. It was a frustrating realization, as preserving these prints in plaster would have provided undeniable evidence of their form and structure. She debated running home to retrieve the materials, but feared the elements might destroy the tracks before she could return.
One right there. And then looks like there are some other ones, but the water has kind of eroded them away. So I don't have any casting material with me today. I may have to run home.
Examining the prints further, she measured one at precisely 10 inches in length and 4 inches wide. Another nearby print suggested a different size, possibly belonging to a second individual. Then she noticed something even more unusual, a set of toe impressions deeply pressed into the mud, as if the being had been walking on its toes. The pressure and depth of these marks hinted at something far more powerful than any ordinary animal, moving through the landscape with agility and intent. What puzzled Leanne most was the variety of prints. Some appeared larger, others smaller, and several seemed to have been made by an individual walking on the balls of its feet. This peculiar gait had been reported by other Sasquatch researchers, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the discovery. The more she observed, the more it became clear these were not just random disturbances in the mud. They told a story. As she moved deeper into the terrain, she spotted something even more astonishing. The footprints did not simply stop, they disappeared. One moment they were there, perfectly outlined in the soft earth, and the next, nothing. No drag marks, no gradual fading, just a sudden, complete absence. It was as if whatever had been walking had simply lifted off the ground. The silence of the forest settled around her as she stood in contemplation. Something about this location felt significant. The patterns, the sudden disappearance of tracks, the structures she had found here in the past. It all suggested that this was more than just a place where these beings passed through. It felt like a habitat, a space they occupied hidden away from human eyes. Among the most striking discoveries was a single, massive footprint with a clearly defined toe. The crisp edges and sheer size made it stand out from the rest. She placed her own foot next to it for comparison. The difference was staggering. The print belonged to something far larger and more powerful than any known animal in the region.